We're back.
First off, Ford Ranger oil pump problem.
Major problem.
Major problem. So, if you're here because the oil pump thing's brought you in, we're going to explain all. If you're here because you're a constant viewer,
supporter,
yeah,
subscriber, diehard, love it.
So basically, this truck, the Ford Ranger, the 2.2s and the 3.2s, all suffer with this dreaded oil pump failure, which, if you're looking at these trucks, or you've got one of these trucks, or you've had one of these trucks, or your mate Steve down the pub knows someone who's had one of these trucks, they'll go,
"You got some change in your pocket, mate?"
That's for, you need more than change to replace when the oil pump fails on these.
It's a shame rattle on this, isn't it?
So yeah, if the oil pump fails, engine scrap, and apparently it's at any mileage, it can happen at any time. But there's a plus note, this truck is on 108,000. Touch wood, I haven't had anything go wrong with it apart from maybe a sensor. On 100,000 on this truck, the oil light symbol for service come on, and I was like, right, I need to service this truck. But I want to do the oil pump at the same time, because you know, two birds, one stone and all that. But we're now 8,000 miles in from my last service when it was due. So this is a ticking time bomb. And if you're here, right, go and watch the other episode, because this is a T6 and we did a T7 front end conversion. So look at the other stuff. So we'll explain more, we're going to get into it and show you what the ins and outs, because we ain't even got a clue what there's got to go on in this.
Also got a tent on top as well.
Got a tent on the roof.
If you want to get some views on that, because it's... So, we installed this ramp, you might have seen. And this is the heaviest thing that's been on it. So we're going to do the rock test.
Well, Dave, all right.
She's good!
It's scary, that thing.
Just before we start, and just before Richard goes into full explanation about what this is going to involve, don't forget, I know we keep pushing it, we've got a few hats left, we've got some hoodies left, we've got a few t-shirts, and the body warmers are on the way.
I don't think there are any hoodies left.
No hoodies left.
No, just t-shirts.
T-shirts and hats.
T-shirts, caps, and that's it.
So let's get back in.
Now, back to Richard.
So the reason oil pumps fail on this engine is because apparently it's a vaned pump, where we're replacing it with a geared pump. So the story is told, apparently when you do an oil change on this vehicle, if you take the oil filter off and drain the oil, you've got 10 minutes apparently to get your filter back on, fill back up with oil, or the pump will drain.
So
it takes a while to prime up, and then damage happens when you start it back up. You've done your oil change, think, yeah, I've done an oil change.
So this new pump you're putting on, the geared one, stops that. So after you put this geared pump on, it's not going to be as bad, so you ain't got 10 minutes.
No, you won't have the 10 minutes.
Right, so you're doing an upgrade, yeah?
You still have to prime the pump. Yeah, 100% upgrade. Okay. But what happens with these vaned pumps, which I'll explain when we get this pump off, we can show the differences between the two, is they seize and then snap the sprocket off, which then you've got no oil pump going, you're still driving down the road, no oil's getting around the engine seizes, big, up to £5,000, maybe more bill for an engine and having an engine fitted in your truck.
Unless you go to Lithuania. It's 500 quid for a truck, I heard.
Still got to fit it though. So, yeah, if we can get the sump off this engine, you can get to the oil pump, simple job, but this is where it gets tricky. So, because it's four-wheel drive, you've got a transfer box, and then you've got the shaft coming out the transfer box directly underneath the sump. And then you've got steering rack, you've got the subframe, which is connected to the chassis, which you say, yeah, fair enough, you get your hands in there, get it out. But then, if you drop the sump, you can't get it through this gap, apparently. So, the trick is, you've either got to take all this transfer box off, and lift the engine up to allow to get the sump out, or you have to get your grinder out. You have to cut the welds.
So you're saying cut the weld there, both sides, on all four.
Yeah.
So then that technical and at the back here. So you're basically unspot welding it.
Yes.
To pull it out to drop the sump.
Yes.
Now let me give you a little bit of an explanation. Stokes didn't explain this like this to me and Jack. He says, oh yeah, there's a geezer on Facebook or something like that. He does this and he cuts your subframe, but he unspot welds it. He doesn't cut it, he unspots.
Yeah, I thought you was just literally.
Yeah, I thought you were just going to chop it.
The proper way of doing it is cutting the spot welds, but there is people that do the job and they physically just cut the subframe like that.
Oh right, so we're going to grind it.
And then there's even worse people what say they've done the job and they don't even do it.
You.
You. I've got a pump there. I'll send that straight back. You. But no, people do this job, not me, because I'm going to have a go at this myself.
And we're going to do this proper.
And we're going to show you what's involved.
What do you mean, myself? How much do you want to bet my hands get dirty?
Oh, okay. So people can do this job, and after this job, you'll see what it involves them
How
doing
much
it.
do
Or
they
if you want to do
normally
it, about £600 supply and fit.
200 quid each, ain't it, Jack?
So that's supply and fit parts. They roughly do it for that. So if you want to have a go yourself, this is how we're going to do it.
I think all the mechanics will be putting their prices up now because of you.
Yeah, I know.
So I'll tell you now, if I do this, bring them on down.
So first things first, we need to get access to all these bolts in the sump before we drain this oil.
Don't you think we should cut the
Let's take this pan off.
should we not? So while you do that, should I cut these welds?
Tell you what, Dave, I'll do the cutting. No, because Dave, this is part. No, Dave, this is part of the chassis. You can't just unbolt.
Do it properly, so leave me alone.
I'll do it,
I'm
Dave.
gonna do the cutting.
No.
Yes.
I'll
Yes.
do it.
Yes. I'm gonna do
Just
the
take this front.
No, I don't want to. I want to go to cut it.
No.
So
Dave, you know if you fuck it up, it's
I'm
the
not
whole
gonna-
chassis.
no, it's not. I'm going to
Okay.
grind this off nicely here. Then I'm going to come round here and I'm going to cut this nicely and cut this. I'm going to do a proper job. Trust me. What?
Well, you need to get that pipe out
Can
of the
for
way from
once
the
in your life, trust me.
No. First things first, nip the front wheels off and do the under tray to get a bit more access because we keep hitting our heads on the wheels.
Start to get a camera around in it.
Yeah, and that's a bit more light, so.
And they're not exactly small wheels, are they? They're half the size of you.
Big wheels.
Oh, you moved him up.
Is it your part?
We were proper mates on the weekend. He's really nice to me. I just think it's when you're around that he bullies me.
Three's a crowd, isn't it?
It is actually, isn't it? See what he's doing here? Keeping with that grinder. Before I cut this up, there's a pipe. Apparently Stokes said it's to do with the EGR system, so we best take it off. Or we could do an EGR delete on it.
So that, no, it's the EVAP system.
EVAP,
Goes to the
EGR.
exhaust anyway, goes to the fuel tank area.
Should we take it off here, yeah?
I'll kick it out there, mate.
Oh!
Diesel in it.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I
don't know. Weird that is. Unless it's to do a burn on the DP, like the cap. You know what I mean? Like
Sends a bit of diesel to it.
to clean it through.
Stokes is a bit nervous, but he ain't got a choice.
Work your magic on the other side then, Dave.
So we started off with this inner one, easy. 2 seconds it was done, just took it down a bit, got in, straight up, released. Ran the grinder down, we was having a bit of trouble here, but we found if we loosen this off, it takes the slack off. I can get up there just enough and then Rich can get straight up there with the chisel, bang, and it comes off, don't it? And we are, it's a bit hard because of the other side, but we're more or less
We're
off.
halfway through.
We're off, there.
Yeah.
So now I'm going to do the same with this one. Cut there, cut that there, and then Rich is going to undo this.
We might have a little problem on this
Yes,
one.
because
won't we?
Rich is going to undo this then, so we'll get this side off, but then hopefully we can pull it down enough to give me enough room because of the transfer box is in the way here. So yes, it might cause a bit of an aggro, the inner one on that side.
But we'll tell you how we do it, and then you won't have to make our mistakes, will you?
Also, I'm doing a perfect job. I even had to tell him to stop how breaking it. Hey! Tell me I ain't done a proper job, Star! No, Dave, I'll do it. No, Dave, I'll do it. No.
I ain't gonna hear the end of this. I'm getting
Look!
for about 2 weeks now.
Cause he didn't listen to me. Look at that. Look at that. Look at that.
You're going to.
Whoa!
Right round, it goes back in now.
Look at this. So this is where Stokesy got let loose. Dave. For all you out there that say I bring nothing to this channel, this is me at my finest.
So now we can drain the
That was
oil.
the hard part, wasn't it?
I think so, and I know what's going to happen.
You're welcome.
I know what's going to happen.
400 quid for that, you know.
This will drop out without taking that out. And we just took it out for no reason.
Nah.
So yeah, that's Gevers now. Loads of access.
Shall I, you know what I'll do as well? Clean this up for
I was
you.
going to say it does need cleaning.
I'll clean this up for you. Proper job, mate. Who is this new geezer? I did nearly kill the other.
Yeah, Jack did whilst filming, took a piece of grinding
Blade
this
to the
to
eye.
the face.
No, look. Please come and get a close-up of this. Look how lovely of a job I've done. Now, if you look at Stokes' corner again.
I haven't even used the grinder.
No, but you just wanted to get in there with your little chisel instead of listening to me. Look at the state of this.
That was the side we practiced on there, wasn't it?
No, that was the Stoke took over and he didn't listen to me. I got this.
So the next step we think is drain the oil and drop some pan, see if it comes out, and then yeah, go from there. Don't rip the cake.
Take the piss out. Smile, mate. Well, he's got to work me. Every time he disses me about selling him a dodgy truck, his missus went into the back of someone. Can we please put a picture of what she did to the car she went into the back of? The back of the car was on the dashboard.
Oh, it was.
The kid had to get cut out of it. He was stretched over the dashie. She did, mate. She hasn't been able to drive since. She's been traumatised.
In a wheelchair.
Where is that picture? Bend anything. Might just be nice here. Yeah, that don't come out. Emery! What kind of engineers do you have working for you?
Just drip to my face.
What? Well, what would you rather your nickname be? Gandalf the Grey or Gandalf the Back?
Is that oil what doesn't clean off you?
Is it that
Oh,
oil?
it's so you can't leave it like that. You've got to hit the soft.
Bit of tomfiggery. Watch this. I'll put it straight back on.
Can you just take it? We just spent hours getting it off.
Can we just get rid of the pickle?
What?
Little
the
modern that?
The actual Ranger, or?
Yeah.
I got one that doesn't have this problem.
I can't wait till we do the transit.
The Transit, I think, has got the same problem.
No, they haven't. It's mint.
2.2 engine.
No, it ain't. Mine the 2.1 special edition.
That is a 2 1.5.
That moustache, Stokes.
You like it?
It ain't coming off.
Anyway,
I was going to help you wipe it off.
you've got a wheel.
No, I have not. That's a clean one.
We did have to remove that. You would not have got it out with that
No,
string.
you can just about get it out with it off.
And then we've had to undo all the transfer box mounts and it's still then tight, isn't it, Dave?
Tight, very tight.
And then
I've been in some tight situations in my time,
this.
and that was tight.
So here is the oil pump, which is what we've got to get out. And you can see, I don't know if you can pick up on camera, it's on a sprocket and chain driven. So now we'll get this unbolted off, we'll get the new pump out, and we'll just compare the differences between the two. So we're going to get this pump off now, and then once we've got it off, I'm going to give it a clean up, and then I'll show you the differences between the two pumps. I think this, I presume that's a high pressure feed for the pump up into the engine, which then feeds all the engine. So we need to slacken the 4 bolts off on the pump, 1 on the high pressure feed, 2 on the strainer, and hopefully then this is on this chain and sprocket that should swing down, and then that allow us then get it. You're going to see. Anyway, let's have a go. So we've got the oil pump off, we've got it on the bench. I'll give it a quick swill down. I'm going to show you the differences now between the two pumps. Did have a bit of a nightmare just, but I've been reassured and I think this is all going to work. You're soon going to see. So this is the original Ford oil pump. And as you can see inside that pump there, if you can pick that up on camera, this is what they're saying about the vaned oil pump. So then, if I twist it, I don't know if you can get this on camera, Jack. See that little thing sliding in and out? When it gets round to that point, it kind of gets tighter and tighter, and that's where it obviously compresses the oil. And this is what they call the vane turbo. And I think them little bits, what are that, like going in and out, they can jam and wedge, causing to snap this sprocket off. And once your oil pump's wedged, it's not pumping the oil, is it? So I think you've got, if you can get it quick enough, you've got about 30 seconds. If you notice that oil light come on straight away, just turn the engine off. So right, let's get back to the modified pump. If you look in there, can you see that gear? There's 2 gears. You know, have you ever watched that James Bond movie where it's an old one and they put him through that shredder thing? That's what that basically, yeah. Do you know what I mean? They put him through it, and it just, you know, you see people. Have you seen when they have massive ones in scrapyards where they chew up engines?
Yeah.
I know I've gone off topic here, but anyway.
To remind you of.
Yes. So that is, like I say, a geared pump. So when I don't know if I'm going to get this right, but I presume when the oil gets between the gears, it kind of squishes it and then puts it under pressure. Anyway, so when I've read up about this, apparently this gives at different RPMs it gives different oil pressures, and this gives a little bit higher oil pressure at different RPMs, which I don't think is a good thing or a bad thing, you know what I mean? I think it's okay. Better oil pressure, you know what I mean? But this is what I'm on about. So looking at these two pumps, that bit there, exactly the same. Obviously the body of the pump is slightly different because it's a different design because of the gears and obviously the vane. Then the bolt holes there and there look to me on the bench exactly the same, so it's gonna all bolt up the same. But then obviously I've got my pickup which went on there like that, which is my oil pickup, and that bolts in there. I did notice on this pickup it's got 2 bolt holes, didn't think anything of it, but then when I noticed on this, the bolt hole for the pickup is in a different position, and to me it just uses the other hole. Do you understand what I mean?
Yep.
But I have read, I don't know what, but I have read up, when they do this pump mod, some people have to make a bracket for this. So perhaps this, because this is a 65 plate, because I know they started on a 12. Perhaps the earlier models didn't have these pickups.
Yeah. So if you do have an earlier model,
you might want to order one of these,
yeah.
or you've got to make a bracket so that bolts on.
Yeah.
And then this is where I completely lost my mind. Because this, remember when I undid that off the engine, that went and bolted into the bottom of the engine somewhere, and then that pipe returned into there. It isn't on this, nowhere. So, quick Google. Apparently the vaned oil pump uses a pressure, I don't know, uses some oil pressure thing. You don't need this, apparently. So what you have to do, where that goes into the bottom of the engine, this bolt, you have to get a new bolt at 15 mil, roughly 15 mil, because obviously if I put this bolt back in there without this pipe on, it's banjo fitting.
Yes.
So it's going to just piss out oil everywhere, isn't it? And obviously I'm probably going to lose oil pressure. So you've got to get a fully threaded bolt, and they say just put a little copper washer on. I'm going to run a bit of Loctite on, and you literally cap that off. You're going to find out if it's going to work. So now we're going to get this new pump bolted on. Now I've been reassured with all these bits and bobs what we're going to leave off. You know when you get a tub full of bits, basically you're doing the same but with an oil pump, which can be very dangerous. So when I took the pump off, this is obviously the feed up into the engine, which is under oil pressure. It didn't have any sealant on, but I've just literally put the lightest smear just on the outside, because if these faces aren't mint, you're going to lose oil pressure between that gap, and I don't want obviously that to happen. So as a precaution, I've just literally the lightest smearing, so when them faces meet, it's just going to give that little extra little bit. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I know what you mean, mate.
I mean, it could be absolutely fine without it, but
Safe and sound.
yeah, but then you could put, if you put too much on, you could be blocking the pump up. Do you know what
How
I mean?
much of a good job I did on this
You did, mate.
Subframe.
So pump's all on, and you remember there's this pipe what we had to disconnect, which is oil, some sort of oil feed either down to the pump or from the pump, but apparently this needs blocking off, and this is the mod you have to do. So it's on a banjo, which obviously the oil on the original bolt, the oil come down there and obviously went through the pipe. That is allowing for that, so we needed to get a shorter bolt without a hole in so it blocks it off. So you need, I think it was an M8 bolt, roughly 15 mil, so that gets rid of the banjo bit on that. So we're going to whack a bit of Loctite on that now, and then that literally goes, if you can remember, up there, Jack, in this hole here, and that gets blanked off. Because if you don't blank it off, it's obviously going to lose oil pressure through there. So that's all back together now. Pump's on, that's capped off, pickup pipes on, so we're ready now for this sump.
This is the hard part.
Yeah, it's trying to get the sump in with the silicone on without knocking silicone everywhere. So we had a dry run, and it's easier to get out than it is to put back in.
No, it's not.
You've had to take another diff
we've
bolt
took
out.
the mounting, is it the diff mount bolt, so it's dropped this diff a bit more lower down.
Moment of truth.
It's up there and left.
No. Yeah.
And then
There you go. I don't think you actually got that on anything, you know, mate.
you need to, if you start knocking all the silicone off, that's when you're going to get leaks, aren't you? But what we're going to do, obviously, this, I think it's about 20 minutes this takes to go off, but we've got some things to do whilst this sets. But before we weld this back in, and put all this back up, we'll obviously fill it up with oil, change the oil filter, give it a service, and we'll run it up. If there's no leaks,
Job's a good one.
put the diff back up and weld that back in, and then it should be fully reliable then. Sump's on, sealed, rear diff's bolted back up, Dave's on the grinder again. We're going to You go on, then.
Linish, yeah.
Linish. He's going to linish up these areas. What we're going to wax and weld through primer. Get it all prepped up. We'll drop it down. That silicone should. I'm going to check it in a sec. I've gone off. We'll put some oil in it. Oil filter, air filter. I think I've got a fuel filter. Yeah.
Run it up for a bit, and then we'll
weld that in.
Back in, yeah. Last thing.
Yeah. Because you're only welding that back in and then grinding it back
leaks.
out
Yep.
to seal the sump again.
Well, there might be a part 2 of this if it all goes wrong.
Well, it could have no oil pressure. Hopefully there's no parts in it. Anyway. Don't touch me with your dirty
No, when you used to be a
hands.
kid, you used to sit on your granddad's lap and play with his beard.
No.
Just me then.
Now we've filled it up with oil. We don't want obviously the engine to start because obviously oil filter isn't full, oil pump isn't full, all the engine's been drained down.
So basically there's no oil in the engine.
No, we want to get some
You want
oil
to get it
round.
round.
So we've disconnected the injectors so it isn't going to fire. This is going to put a code on the dash, so you're going to probably need to...
Code reader.
Yeah.
But let us know. 60 quid will turn it off.
The oil light went off, so that's a good thing, isn't it? So obviously we're welding this back on, so we want to disconnect the battery because we don't want to be shorting
Get your step up, mate.
shorting anything out.
We've put on a layer of weld through primer as well,
Yeah.
just to protect everything and makes it a bit easier when you're
It
actually
looks naff
welding.
though.
What?
It looks naff.
I can spray over a bit of black after.
Yeah, you can have.
So that's welded back up. If
To hide his sins, he's covered it in stone
in
chip.
stone chip for protection. But if you haven't got a welder, there is a little tip here which I haven't done but you could do. These bolt holes line up. You could get a metal collar in between that so it doesn't crush, and you could physically bolt that back up if you
Yeah.
wanted to.
I think it'd be probably just as strong. wouldn't
Just
it?
as strong. It's like I said, it is doing something, but you could literally bolt that up. So if you haven't got a welder, you could do it that way. So get the wheels on, battery back on, check oil.
Drive away. A happy man. You're actually smaller than it.
If you want to know how tall I am 2 Raptor wheels with BF Goodriches.
Yeah.
BFG.
So obviously then the oil light goes off.
Yeah.
What's that noise?
What are you gonna do?
So like I said at the start, the reason I've done the oil pump and the oil change and everything because the service indicator was on, which is that yellow oil can
Yeah.
saying it needs, and like I said, it's 8,000 miles over the service. So apparently you hold your foot on the brake, hold your foot on the accelerator, then you turn the key on to the key before you start. This lights up and then apparently this starts flashing. Starts flashing.
Yeah.
So then you hold it on apparently, I think, for so many seconds, and then that resets the service Service indicator. So then I think, let's see what this does. Alright, let's turn it off and see if it comes back on. Still flashing up. Now it's off. So the service light's now been reset. I think it's on 10,000 intervals on this. So, and the other thing, what I will say, what I think we all noticed, the oil pickup hasn't got a gauze in it. So I think servicing for this car, these engines, is very, like, if you want it to last, service it, because if it's sucked up any rubbish, it's going into that oil pump, and then that could be causing the problems. Because regularly serviced Rangers, or these engines, they do the mileage. I mean, mine's done 108 and the oil pump looks okay, so, but now
you got to use it for a bit.
Yeah, see what happens. It's supposed to put your mind at rest. So, seems all good. Dave's done a wonderful job at cutting the chassis out, and it's all back together, so might as well give it a little test drive. So go Scotland and back.
Go Scotland.
Or Morocco. No oil lights, so all good.
So that's another one out the door. I hope it's been helpful. So like, follow, share and subscribe. Hit the bell for the up and coming new videos. Catch you later. And buy the merch.